I have a question. Are we living already in 2015 in the times of the universe of the movie Idiocracy? Let me break down that statement so everybody understands. The movie Idiocracy was set in the future where 99% of the population were idiots. And that included even the president, who's supposed to be the most lofty person and intelligent and smart and heroic and all that sort of, the whole nine yards, which in the past, I'd say probably 4 presidents that fell off. No longer is the president the envy of all men and adored by women and children. Now it's, would you like to have a beer with him? I mean, you shouldn't be electing somebody you can have a beer with. You want somebody to look right in the eye of all of the other presidents, princes, kings, queens, and what have you, and say, hey, damn it, I'm just as good as you. A guy that you can have a beer with probably isn't just as good as them. I'm not saying you're a horrible person, but I'm saying there's better people than you. We're peasants. Let's let the heroes step forward and let's vote those people in, which probably would never happen any longer anyway, right? We can't have a Roosevelt or whatever. Are we living right now in 2015 in a time where idiots are ruling? People, I did a video about women who refuse, quote unquote, refuse to have children, might as well be men. And some people, after wrestling with the English language, and for whatever reason, I don't have patience for that. If I say refuse, I mean refuse. That doesn't include widows. That doesn't include, that doesn't include a whole bunch of other people, right? Refuse. And people did agree. They said, yes, if a woman doesn't have children, she's a drone. And the title that I gave the video was, are women who refuse to have kids men? Well, they didn't say men, they said drones. You're just a cog in the wheel of the big corporation. Somebody somewhere has convinced you that you don't need to pass on your genes. And that's really what children are about, right? You're passing on your genes. You're living throughout eternity, hopefully, through your children and your children's children and so forth and so on. And maybe if you're a fantastic parent and you pour out all of the wisdom that's in you, all of your life experience into this child, which is what you're supposed to do. You're not supposed to sit up at home and on a couch and watch TV with your fat kid that you feed sugar all day and just sit there like a bump on the lawn. That is not what parenting is. I keep telling you about the story of me talking to the lady who did my cap that I'm going to sell here shortly. The reason she went into the story of her not being able to have children is that the father came in with 2 little boys and he just let them run rampant, and then they were crying, and they were now, of course, the father had the decency to be ashamed that his child was causing a ruckus, and he took the children out of the store, right? But her purpose was that she said that he didn't appreciate having children and that he didn't raise them in the right way, and the boys were screaming and hollering and running all over the place. And she was pissed off because she was incapable of having children. She lost 2 children already. She was in her, I believe, late 30s maybe, and she had already lost 2 children. She said 1 at birth and 1 in utero. Now this is a woman wishing she could have a child, and mad as hell at the people who do have children and don't parent them, don't love them, aren't doing what they're supposed to do. Parenting is loving, teaching, upbringing. That's a minimum. So when you see the mainstream media trot out some Negro and I didn't want to talk about black people, and this video is for everybody, not just black people, but I get pissed off when they trot out some Negro and goes, I paid my child support. I put clothes on my child. Negro, that's what you're supposed to do at the very least. Get this friggin' peasant off the friggin' channel, because all the white people are going to sit there and laugh going, look at that Negro. He thinks that's something we should applaud. No, you're supposed to feed your children. You're supposed to clothe your children. That's a basic. If you didn't do that, you don't, why did you have children? And you made the decision. There is no such thing as an accident when it comes to birthing children, getting pregnant. There is no such thing. I know people say it, they love to say it, that it's a colloquialism. If you climb into bed with another human, man and woman, your mom or dad, I think it's a mom thing. Well, I guess a mom thing with daughters, and it's a dad thing with sons. They're supposed to tell you what happens when the mommy and the daddy really love each other and they climb in bed and one thing leads to another and out pops Junior. They're supposed to teach you this. So there's no such thing as an accident. The decision came when you climbed into bed. So there's no such thing as an accident, right? Are we living in the time of idiocy already? And I want to draw your idiocracy already. I want to draw your attention to the scene in the movie where they completely stopped the entire movie. I guess they felt that they couldn't do this in any other way. They stopped the entire movie and sat down a yuppie couple, well-to-do, educated, upper level, upwardly mobile, and they sat down a redneck couple. And they said, here's Gertrude and George. They don't have children. The first year of marriage. I have plenty of time to have children. Later, I want to focus on my profession. Meanwhile, redneck couple number 2 has popped out 2 kids within the first year somehow. Apparently, they got married with a father standing there with a shotgun somewhere. Right? You get my drift? She was already pregnant. That's what that means. Year number 5. Oh, I can't have a child. This is the yuppie couple talking. I can't have a child now because it's crunch time, and we're gonna have crunch time for the next 3 quarters. A quarter is 3 months, so you have 4 quarters in a year. A year is 12 months. It's crunch time. I can't have a kid now, so they put that off. Meanwhile, redneck couple number 2 is working on their 4th child. Here we go. Next iteration. I know my biological clock is ticking, but I just can't right now. I just got promoted to vice president, and I'm trying to go for president of the company. That's the yuppie couple. Meanwhile, the first child that the redneck couple has already had a child. Okay, the yuppie couple has, their time is out. The woman is done. She's too old to have children, period. Meanwhile, the redneck couple family has now branched into all sorts of trees, and they're holding babies. They're holding babies, and I mean, it's just running rampant. Now, the redneck couple, of course, is uneducated, has absolutely no sense of anything. A bunch of couch potatoes, and they live off of the government and so forth and so on, right? And then the yuppie couple is old, and they say, here, this is a wasted life. You did what with your life? You made it to CEO of the company, but you had no children. You have nothing to pass on. Meanwhile, idiot couple number 2 has a staggering 100 people in their family tree from the first redneck couple. Poof, there goes George. He's dead. Poof, there goes Gertrude. She's dead. No knowledge was passed on. No good work ethic was passed on. That family is completely wiped from the face of the earth. What did they accomplish? Nothing. You making a whole bunch of money accomplishes nothing. And who did you give the money to? Nobody. So now you have the idiots running around with thousands of branches in their family tree. And that's how they completely stopped the movie to explain that in such clear detail so you understood how the movie Idiocracy reached the level where 99% of the population were complete idiots. And the corporations sat somewhere off in the distance in the misty clouds of their towers, bleeding the population dry of their money and selling them Gatorade to water the plants with, and the plants are dying and not producing any harvest, and nobody can eat. The people are actually dying because they're idiots. And you have a guy from the 20th century pops up in a time capsule, and just his common knowledge is vastly superior to everything all the rest of the people in the population. Everybody, including the president. He says you have to water the plants with water. But no, they're quoting the slogan from Gatorade to him. Gatorade has what the body needs. Plants have bodies, so we're going to water them with Gatorade. And that's just an example of how idiotic, and it's trying to point out the pathway that they we think that we're headed. And that even a common man from the 1990s is brilliant compared to everybody in this fictional future. But the question is, are we already in this fictional future? We're giving a guy who put on makeup and a dress awards for bravery. It's like a chapter out of the damn movie Idiocracy. Bravery. Bravery? It's like they don't know the English language. And I don't want to hear homosexual. First of all, he's not homosexual. I don't know why homosexuals flock to him. He's not homosexual. He's actually anti-homosexual, very super conservative. I'm talking about Bruce Jenner. And now he's rescinded calling him Caitlyn or whatever it was. He wants to go back to being called Bruce Jenner. That was short-lived, wasn't it? It's like a page out of the movie Idiocracy. Are we already in that time right now? Are we so far gone? And under Obama fast-tracked us. Fast-tracked the whole... How do you have 30 million people on food stamps and growing? Who's paying for that? And I can't believe that Hollywood hates Ayn Rand, and her book, Atlas Shrugged, and her putting forth the idea that you have producers and you have leeches. With 30 million people being on food stamps and the government saying, that's okay, we have the program to put 30 million people on. No, that's not okay. There's something fundamentally wrong with the economy. There's something fundamentally wrong with business. And you're in the way. And you're growing bigger. This is idiocracy, is it not? How do you have 30 million people on food stamps? This is not about the people on the food stamps. This is the Federal Reserve Bank. This is Wall Street. That's where the real idiocracy is. We're the government, we're right, and we want to get bigger and bigger and bigger. We want to put 60 million Americans on food stamps. We want 120 Americans on food stamps. Where is this money coming from? It's coming from you, taxpayers, people who are going to work. Yes, you, even who go to McDonald's, who work at McDonald's. That's where that money's coming from. And the corporations get kickback after kickback after kickback. You think you got something? You got $60 a month? You got $100 a month for food stamps? Let me tell you, you didn't get $60 per month. You actually got somewhere around $600, and the corporations through this loop and that guy and this manager and that manager and this system and that system, they all took a little piece, and you got $60. So that means, taxpayers, 90% of the taxes that they took out of your paycheck to quote unquote go to food stamps, that's not how it works. But in this example, this is how this is working. 90% of those dollars went to a corporation and not to the person getting food stamps. That's what's going on. That's idiocracy. And that the government isn't saying that something is fundamentally wrong. That's idiocracy. And they had the black guy as the president, Randy Camacho, or I don't know. He was portraying a wrestler portraying being the president. But it was Terry Crews, I believe, as the actual actor. Or his name was Jesse Ventura Camacho, or something wrestlish. In the movie, the idiot president was an actually good, caring person. He just didn't have the knowledge. He was an idiot. And given that we had the average guy from the 90s tell him plants need water, water them with water, not Gatorade. And by the way, you also need water. And the black president in the movie said, okay. Now, do you think Barack Obama would say okay if the roles were reversed? No, he wouldn't. And the Gatorade Corporation of the United States in 2015 would say, no, you're going to keep watering those plants, Gatorade, and you're going to keep drinking Gatorade. We're not going to have water fountains. We're going to have Gatorade fountains. And that's just the way it's going to be. Well, you're killing off the population, says the everyday man of 2015. And the Gatorade Corporation says, oh, well, I'm getting kickbacks from your city government to put up Gatorade fountains. And that's what you're going to get. I ask you, are we already in idiocracy today? Thank you for watching the Shikama Live Show.